Hi, it's David here with Future Trading. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. I got a question from Dimitri about how to look at the bars. I can't tell you which ones, but we're going to take a look at them, and I'm going to definitely explain to you some of the information that I gave him, so that way you could capitalize off this movement that the market actually puts out there and know how far is too far. That's really important, and definitely when it comes to value, that's another thing that I want to make sure I illustrate for you guys inside of this video is that volume is important. However, majority is the principle. That's the thing that's getting the market to work. And that's what I try to disclose on all of these videos here. And I'll make sure I do that as well. But we'll definitely talk about that volume. To get caught up on everything, just look at this video here on the homepage. You can just look at that 42 minutes. It'll change your life. I'll do my best to describe some of this information here within inside of this next 15 minutes or so, so that way you don't have to go this route. But yes, go here because I'm doing it in real time as well. If you need more additional information, I do provide that as well. Live trades. There's a cost associated with that, but again, you don't have to go that far. I got some free information here for you. A lot of information. Universal threshold, how far the live candle will pull back before resuming. We're going to talk about that price action trend as well. You just need to be able to count to 10. The price action method, again, this is the majority principle, which states that the minority is compelled to follow. And then that chart scale, I teach you how to use your hard right edge and know that the market can turn without having to look left. That is a problem. I know a lot of videos online have that going on. Either they're trying to give you a prop firm link, some enticing intros, face plastering new strategies and hindsight analysis, and regurgitating other traders. I am not offering you any of that on this channel. All right. So just try to keep that in mind. I don't plan on making a lot of videos. All right. I told you I'm done with that because the participation is important here. So being that I'm doing what most educators should do online, if you're really an educator or a professional trader, you should want to share information that can change people's trading immediately. All right. So the support isn't exactly indicative of that. All right. So I get surges of support and then it dies right back off. All right. So here's the information though. I do want you to know how to objectively just look at the volume. Now, here are my volume indicators that I added to the indicator suite. Now, for those that have purchased the indicator suite here recently, just use that link. If you have a link that does not have the current updates, you will incur a cost because it took me a great deal of time to put these tools together and I need to be compensated for the time. So if you want to receive the new changes, it's just another $100. All right. So in total, I would never charge you guys anything more than $200 for the indicators. All right. Just want to say that to you. But if you're new coming on, it's $100. New coming on, you can have them for $100. And I'm sure those that had the prior versions, you've made $100 by now. I'm 100% certain of it. Just with the information on the channel, there's four components to how I'm showing you how to read the chart. You should have seen $100 just with the free information. All right. So it shouldn't be no problem to say, hey, Dave, I know you spent a little bit of time making these tools. I don't mind, dispersing another $100 for the updates. All right. So, but if you're new, this is available to you. And again, if you recently purchased the indicator suite, you should be able to see these changes, all right, in your indicator list. The hidden expansion is the arrows. All right, now I'm gonna go to another chart that's coloring the bars based on the value. So we're gonna definitely dive into that and definitely go over these rules all within a few minutes here. We're not gonna take long to do this. But you'll definitely want to use the hidden expansion. That's the arrows. It takes two bars. The expansion consecutive color. Now this takes three. I know a lot of you like to chase that gap stuff, so I made a 3 bar setup that is pretty interesting, I think. We had a blue bar here. This is a blue bar here. It takes 3 bars to get it to work, but you can tell at that 9:30 pushed down and then they popped up. All right, so then the next move that they made this blue bar from above. All right, here we go. There's that blue bar there. They had another one here. They kind of got stuck right below that and leaned over, but then they had one here. All right, so it's a blue bar here as well. They kind of leaned and that popped up, just kind of moved up just a little bit further into this zone here, and then they turned the corner. All right, so the moment that they turn the corner, and we're going to talk about that value, that's there. I do want you to look at the rules because we're going to the next chart and we're going to definitely dive into that. But I did want to put that here. Should you want to look down here and just kind of read into some of these indicators. All right, and these are the different values. There's four in total, and I just overlayered all four of them inside of this window. When you go to the next chart, you're only going to see two colors based on all four of these these volumes. All right, so you're only going to see two colors being represented on the bars. All right, so here's the blue bar here. Again, you want to stay below the blue bar. That's all. You just kind of want to stay below it and just let the market just trade in your direction. $100. Oh, it's well over 300 indicators in my indicator list. All right. Again, simple stuff, not complicated at all. So here's the blue bar coming in here on that bottom. They kind of dove back into that information there, kind of, just hung out just a bit. And then, of course, they had the blue bar here. All right. So then, and this is what we're going to be taking a look at primarily, this information here. And we're going to look at this information here on the following chart here. All right. So just stick around. I'm gonna show you the information. I'm gonna show it to you. All right. So that's what you had. And again, we're gonna be picking apart uh this information. Just right here. Okay, right here, and this information here on the next chart. All right. But we're gonna use that value. All right, so here's the volume colored bars. All right. So now if you want to use the volume colored bars, this is the information that's there. All right. And again, click that link if you already have the latest version. You'll be able to access these updates. If you have not, uh, the update, if you don't have it, you will have to incur $100 cost. All right. Again, it's just my time. It takes time to make all of these tools. All right. So now, if you want to look at the hourly and the daily, I'll put that in front of you really briefly here. It's not a lot going on. If you ask me, it's just the market doing this. Now, this is significant. All right, this is significant. I will tell you, it's no surprise that this is doing this. You want to look at the blue bars. You got blue bars in this run up. They kind of leaned over. You had the blue bars here, and they just kept going. You have one here. They're kind of coming towards it. I thought that they would want to hit that static level there. And again, you can go static levels being 55, 15, 25, 85, and 95. Add zeros to them, and that's how you kind of get an idea of how far it can possibly trade. All right, so that's that daily. They kind of gave us this big nasty drop here, and now let me show you the hourly. Same information with the blue bars. Kind of just want to get some of that going if you can. Let me just blow this up for you. On this run up, yeah, we had the blue bars. I don't have a lot of data on this. They got the blue bars there. They kind of leaned over, pushed up. Then you had the blue bars, and they didn't want to hold that, and so they turned it around, and said, "Hey, we're not doing that." But then they got up here and they had the blue bar here. They kind of overshot it, but they didn't want to get through that high. And then, of course, here's the turnaround. Now, the arrows, it only takes two bars to make the arrows. All right, just two bars. Two bars can get the arrows going. There is a level that comes with the hidden information there. Okay, the hidden expansion. There's a level that's a 1 bar plot. All right, but what we're going to take a look at is this volume and this M3. I know Dimitri had asked me about the M3 setup. I don't have the name of the M3 indicator up here because it gives away a little bit of information there, and I don't want to do that. But you can kind of see here, and we're going to dive down into that area that I told you that we would. But this is what it looks like as we begin to dive into the information that I gave Dimitri. It was up here on the high from 9:30 as well. I didn't cover this in the email, and so I'm gonna put it here. All right, so kind of the same setup. There's your M3. Here's the break of that. All right, but now when you're using the value, give me 1 second. The platform wants to do this. Okay, I got a lot of other charts running. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Hopefully it'll come back in. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got a lot of other charts running, and just bring this down here. We're going to take a look at how this all works. All right, so how that color works and how to put it all together. All right, so let's do some of that. All right, so but there's that M3. All right, there's the M3, Dimitri, and they again that threshold is important. So how to interpret that? Let's go over that information so you'll know. For those that's new, the threshold is important. All right, and this is what I was trying to explain to Dimitri. The threshold is important, and we're going to definitely get into that. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for them to come into it and then pop. So if you're new, you're looking for that threshold for them to come into it and then decline. This is a way of looking at majority on the chart. You're getting the bar here. Okay, this is your colored bar. You want the midpoint of this live candle to exceed that prior bar's high. You would throw the stop behind that bar and you begin to, let that candle finish out and close. And yes, it can come back, and that's why you got to know how to do this. All right, it can come back and bring the midpoint back in. You just got to know how to do it. I'm going to give you all the fundamental pieces that you would need. And if you want to, of course, experience more, that's available as well. So the midpoint below that low, take the trade, throw the stop behind that bar and let it go. All right. And but here, this is the volume color with the M3 setup. Now, when it comes to M3 setup, that's in the momentum indicators. All right, so I have different sections for different setups. All right, so that's in the momentum, and you'll know which one it is when you add it to the chart. You'll see the M3 and say, "Hey, this was the one in the video." All right, so you can use that particular indicator there, along with the volume. Now, this is the volume indicators that you'll want to use. Now, again, I condensed those four different volumes into two bar colors. All right, so really important stuff. This is the rules for it. All right, now you can see it on the high before we go down there. You can see it on the high. This is important. This is the part that really does it. I don't mind the bar coloring. I think that's fine. But this is the one without any opacity. It is turning or continuing. So you got the no color. You had it coming in here, but then they wanted to do this. All right, they wanted to do, and that's fine. The blue bar that were looking at on the other chart was here. That's a no color bar there. All right, no color, absolutely no color in it. No color in this one. This was that blue bar. So if you rewind the video, you'll see that this bar was blue and this bar was blue as well. All right, and then the market that came into it. Let me kind of illustrate that for you again. The market had dove into it. Okay, now this information is very simple, it's not complicated. The market had dove into it and then it popped to the upside. The market had came up to that red bar. I just showed you that on the other chart, but here, this rule right here is really important, really important. All right, so the no color, no opacity in the bar is very significant. But for those again that needs to learn how to do this, I'm gonna make it as plain as possible. Again, this is information you're not gonna find online listening to a bunch of hindsight traders. This stuff can happen in real time. I'll flip the Bitcoin, try to give you a couple minutes of that as well. I'm trying to condense all of this information within a very short amount of time. I don't want to be before you long. There's a lighter color here. Let me move our rules over here so we can see our rules. Let's bring our rules over here for the volume. I only have three rules when it comes to volume. This is how majority shows up on the chart. Again, you're looking for the threshold, push out. You want the information here. You want the midpoint to exceed the high or exceed the low. And then you're looking for wicks. So you need a big wick, little wick. And then if you can't find that, you have the little body being able to fit inside of the bigger body twice. So I want you to take all three of these scenarios in, because that's majority on your chart without any indicators. All right, I want to make sure that you understand how to read a chart objectively like a professional without any tools. You don't need any tools, and I'll tell you some other things that you can stand to learn and know for free. All right, for free. So if you don't mind, do do the video just a favor. Get this information to someone that can appreciate it. So hit the like button or leave a comment. All right, try to share this information. Try to get some people to help. Again, I'm not giving you guys a bunch of stuff that you can't use. All right, just want to say it that way. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to profit off of you. That's the other thing. I'm trying to tell you how to make money and look at a chart without needing anything. I don't need anything. I do just fine in my trading. But should you want to pick up an indicator suite, I don't want to see you guys go pay $300-400 for one indicator. I already done that for you, so you don't have to. $300-400 for one indicator. I'm gonna give you 300 of them or more for $100. All right, and for those that already have a yes, you're gonna have to incur another $100. But again, still under $300. If you need additional education, most professional grade education costs thousands of dollars. I know my time does, but I have made available a playlist you can learn from for $500. Should you want to be a part of that? And there's people that's again sent me emails about it, and they absolutely thoroughly enjoy it. All right, so trying to give you some free information that can just do it, that can do it for you and get you going. But if you need more, yes, I'm available. So Dimitri, yes, I took off some of that information here, my friend, because I don't want them to know everything that you and I had discussed. But I did want to make sure that you saw that that was up there as well. And then, of course, for those that's picking up the indicator suite and have picked up the indicator suite, that you guys have some information on how to interpret this stuff. All right, I want you to know how to interpret the volume because that's new. I want you to know what that is. All right, so the pale green or the light coral color, the light coral color is decreasing value, which happens to start a turn. All right, now this happens to start a turn. The green or red is the increasing volume, which will happen before the turns. Okay, so it happens before turning points or immediately after the turn. So this is, let's get it going. Let's go. All right, now, when there is no color, I just showed you guys what that looked like. That's important. That's important. So now you can begin to pick apart just some of this information based upon these three rules. I'm not going to dive into every scenario here, but it's important. So here, we closed above that threshold. Now, this is the thing I do want you guys here on the channel to take away, that's using the free information. They do that. Yeah, they can go behind that bar. M3 sitting there, totally get it. They closed above it. Yes, there's a chance they can come behind that bar. And not only that, here's the other thing I want to tell you. The market does this. I'm not going to give you all the information that I give my private community, but it does that. Okay. Now I did tell you guys kind of early on when I was on the channel, they can pass this, just don't pass that. All right. So they reached up, taking out that internal pivot. So, if you look at that, that's an internal pivot. They took that out, but then moved down lower. You had another an engaging M3 here. They went right into it, engaged it, turned around. Here's the bars with no color. Remember, the bars with no color. You had some of them up here, okay? But there's that M3 setup Dimitri asked me about, and the threshold is important because it maintains. If it can maintain to the close, it proves stability. And so you had it here. Okay, you had it here on this light colored bar. Okay, remember the light colored bar here? Okay, what's the rule for that? All right, happens to start the turn. It's supposed to start it. They closed above the threshold here. They can come up higher. They went higher. Then you had it here. But the M3, we was talking about that M3. Here it is, and boom, there it is, beginning to move down. Now, when it comes to this, now I want to make this as quick as possible. You had a trend here. Remember, we had blue bars down here. Remember the blue bars I showed you in the last video, I mean, I'm sorry, the last chart, I showed you that there was blue bars down here. Yeah, it's a couple blue bars down here. See, they had dove back into it and then they pushed up. Just rewind the video, you'll be able to see it. There were some blue bars down here. So they kind of stalled out a bit, but again, they made a trend, 7 bars. All right, and there's a trend indicator available as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 bars back down. All right. So that's the 7 back down. Now they had 7 up, let's say here, all the way to the top. If you do this long enough, you'll know that at 7, sometimes they rotate. That's what they do. Them guys gonna turn around and kind of stall you out just a little bit. All right. So here we go. We got 7 here, 7 here. It can't be both. All right. So here for the new trader, I'm gonna make this as simple as possible. How far is the market gonna go, Dave? Because everybody wants to know, when should I be booking my profits? I'm gonna give you the information that you need because it's very simple. If it will not go up, where is it going? Down. All right. Now let's establish what just took place on that up. And now I promise you, you're going to find that this is very simple. If they're not going to come here, this is what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to need you to do this. Just put it there. Okay. And then I'm not going to be before you long. And there's that level for you there. All right. So let's scroll forward. There, it made it. All right. So it's not complicated. I don't want you to think that at all. All right. I want to make sure that you can see that this stuff is very simple. Again, they re-engaged. They broke past the M3. There's the M3 here. And remember that M3 up here. Okay. So when you go back and rewind the video, these are the 3 main components. Well, 3 main components here, but this is how you would manage the trade. Let's see if we can run over to Bitcoin really quickly. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can do that real quick. See, can I throw in real time for you for about 5 minutes? Not going to take long. Let's see if we can do that. So you can see the volume in real time for a few moments here. All right, so they deciding to go up here as I'm seeing. All right, so let's see what we can do with this. Let's see. All right, so then in about 5 minutes. I'm not going to be before you long. All right, so first let's do the center of the chart. All right, remember it's real time, so we don't have to do hindsight. We don't have to do that, but they got a trend up. They haven't made a trend down yet. So let's see. Let's see. We got the center of the chart here, lower half of the chart. I don't like this bottom. I do suspect that they can get back down here, but this is what they're doing currently. So let's just go ahead and analyze this. This is the upper half of the chart. All right, so Remember, the lighter color is to get the market going. Is to get the market going. The bars with no color is the market turning. All right, and again, the darker color is, yes, it's going to show up after it turns to get it started, or it'll show up at the turn before it turns over. Because remember, they're entering the market before it flips. All right, so had a darker color, it pushed down, no color at all, it pushed up, darker color here, and there's no color here, and then it begins to move. Darker color coming in here, it can begin to want to curl itself back to the upside. All right. Let's see how much further it wants to go. Let's see. You see the darker color here, it turned. All right. Now we're still above the upper part of the chart. Now this is just using the volume indicators. All right. This is that just that. Again, I have well over 300 indicators, but you can throw the volume indicator up there and know just a little bit about trading. Again, we want to see if the midpoint can exceed the prior bar's low. Okay. The midpoint is between these two lines. It's between that, so it didn't do it here. It did it from up here, but we have what, a trend to the upside. We don't have a trend down yet. Now, if you're going with this scenario to the downside, they need not break this bar here. So let's say this bar here shouldn't get broken, the red one with the value. All right, the red one can't get broken. All right, so there's the darker color. Here's the pickup. They're trying to pick it back up. Remember, this happens before the turn. The darker color will happen before the turn. Now, yes, the darker color can come in at the bottom of the turn. Remember, that's increasing volume, increasing volume. These are increasing volumes. This is happening in the right place for it to go up. However, I know a lot of you like to trade value. I'm indifferent about it. It can be either or for me, because I know sometimes the value can, you can have high volume at turns or low volume at turns. You got to know how to include majority. You got to understand the market is functioning on this principle, majority. The no color is the best to me. The no color. All right. So, but let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at how to, go about this. It's very simple. Did we get up a little bit higher here? Let's see. Let me get my crosshairs. I'm not going to be before you long, probably about another couple minutes here. All right, so we have no color here. So what are we going to do with this? Roll it back over and fall more? Let's see. Did we get a new high here? Yeah, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, we got above that, I believe. Let's see. High 476. Let's get this high here. Yeah, so we went above this high. I don't like this bottom. So there's the no color. Remember, I told you the no color can get it to, turn. Okay, so you want to pay attention to that. I knew that there was a pickup here because the bar turned red. Okay, you guys are serious, about this push down. So you lift it up. They're still above the center of the chart. So can they come back down under this? Yeah, well, let's just see. But right now, the mid of this candle is exceeding that low. So you would just jump the trade, stop there, because it's going to do this. All right, so it's going to do this. This is that setup if it wants to continue down. This is how far it's going to go. All right, so this is how far it's going to go to the center of the chart. Now it's doing it again. All right, it's doing it again. It's coming in with that dark red. So there's a good chance, just a good chance, it may want to lift up, but majority is pushing this move. It is. And if it wants to stay down, this is how far it's suggesting that it will come. Now we have a situation on our hands because they want to trap this buy here. We got an M3 here. We got an M3 here. Let's see if they can hold it. That's all. Let's see if they can hold. Let's kind of right into the upper part of this chart here. So let's see. But here they come. Here they come. Let's see if they'll come back up. Let's see. But if this pattern is going to hold, if it's going to hold, this one here, where the mid fell beneath the low, you had the body, all right, so you had the body, you had two of the components there being able to fit inside of here twice, all right, so you had two of them there. Yeah, I can go some more. It didn't show up with this one though. Okay, it didn't show up with this one. Now we have lower volume, and again, I told you this happens at turns. All right, so this happens at turns. So maybe they're still above the center chart. Maybe now they're going to try to pick it back up and move it back up there. If they if they go past here, that's not going to happen. All right, so this one won't happen. It's still a case, if you will, that they could want to hold this setup here. Okay, it's still a case that could be, if they wanted to reverse and drop it back down, that they could still make this distance here. Now, if they're going to commit to this for this setup, they won't break this clear bar, the bar without the opacity. All right, they won't break it at all. All right, so let's see how this happening. Let's see. Let's just put us a little box here, like we did this one here. And again, just a couple minutes of real time. I want to show you how to read this and along with the volume tools, so you know how to interpret that information. All right, so now we have our threshold. All right, so if they want to pull back, this is how far they could come back into the bar. And so how far is too far is important. All right. So this is how far they can come back. You don't want them to close outside of this threshold. They kind of reached into this one here, but then they came back and start closing below it. So don't be a victim. And so here we go. They're coming through the threshold. So there's a good chance they can blow this bar. Let's see if they'll go ahead and move it down. They pushed up into that clear bar there, and they're wanting to initiate it back to the downside. Let's see how it happens. Can they trap the buyers? Can they I mean trap the sellers here? Can they trap them? Let's see. They pushing in the threshold. They're not closing them even. I thought that they'll just go ahead and push through that bar and run it. But they're coming back up. If they close back above this threshold, we'll have to see what the next one do. Okay, they're not trying to do it. I thought they was gonna do it. They may want to trap these sellers and then get back through that high. They may want to do that. All right, so now again, this happens when it's ready to go. That's pretty much how that works. You get the lighter color green, then eventually dark green come in and it begins to push. Maybe that's the case here. Maybe they're going to go ahead and run it up. I can't say. We got to let it play out. Right now, it's still above the upper part of the chart. Did they go past our bar? Yeah, they went past that. So this still is the mid of the chart here. Still, they haven't come past the middle of the chart. So let's see if they're ready to just go ahead and push this back to the upside. Let's see. I'll give it another bar or so. Let's see if what we do with this green bar. Let's see. Let's see if they're ready to go ahead and push it back to the upside. That's what you want. You want the darker green to come in. Remember the rules. You want the darker green to come in to get it to go. All right, that's important. You had the darker red here. They gave you a little lift, but they didn't want to break it. And so you had another dark red come in to push it down even further. But then that dark red came in and they turned it. And this time they're above it and coming back with the green. And so there's the lighter green. Now, are they getting weak because they're coming into this M3? I doubt it. They're above the threshold of it. So I do suspect that the lighter green or the decrease in the volume shouldn't be too much of an issue, and they should be able to continue up. This is an M3. Let's see, because they still owe you this if that pattern here will hold. But this is a prime case of initiating it to continue on. So you would take that same initiative, if you will, with the threshold. Okay, you can say, hey, well, this is a threshold. I know that bar don't have no color in it, and that's not fun. Now, they can come past here if you do the majority. Let's do our majority. Let's change our majority. Let's do this. Okay, let's kind of move this up here. Okay, maybe the M3 gonna give them a problem. That mid got above there, so they shouldn't come past there, which is that green bar. We don't want them past that green bar. Now, this is that dark red. You know, they typically would do this, but then want to come back up. But we'll see. We'll see. I noticed the M3, and if they really want to give you this distance, that M3 can hold them in this direction. I don't like that they closed above that threshold of it. I don't like that. We don't really want them back past this bar. So hopefully this is just a bluff. They move into it and then come off that low. If they get past here, they're going to make it here. All right. It's really simple. It's not complicated. Again, I don't want to hold the video long at all. Maybe this is just a bluff. They're coming back into this threshold to test it, turn back around, and then commence to moving it back to the upside. We don't want them to break this bar really, because that's this setup. That's the majority setup. All right. So we have this going on. Okay, really don't want that. We got a bar with no color. That's important as well. There's the M3 bar with no color here. There's no color in this bar. That's important. Remember, this is important. Important. So hopefully this is them wanting to go in and push it back up. We got the big wick. Hopefully there can be no wick. Smaller body. Hopefully this body will increase in size and it just take it back off to the upside. And if that be the case, I absolutely must go, people. And I wish you all absolutely best with your trading. Let's see. I'm gonna let this candle finish out. And again, if you have the indicator suite, be certain to use the value as the color, or you can use it in the sub window. You'll just have to overlay the different volumes. You don't need all of them. You can use just one of them if you want, whichever one you prefer. The ones with the alt next to it is the decreasing value. I want to make sure I say that to you. So the ones with the ALT, if you're using it for the sub window, is the lighter color value. All right. You have a climax one, you have the benchmark one. The ones with the alt, the ALT, is the ones with the decrease. All right. There's some information I put into this stuff. All right. And then of course you got the pro bar color and the pro alt color, should you not want to use the sub window. So if you don't want to use that, that's totally fine. Get you a chart like this, just put these two on there and it'll compensate for all four of the different volumes that you're looking at. Be certain to use the free information on the channel when it comes to the majority. Yes, so this is going to give it to us. That one didn't. This one is going to give it to us. Be sure that you use all the free information on the channel. Be sure to like the video, share it with others. If there's enough support on this video, I have no problem coming back and giving you another one. Support the information, people. All right. Again, I'm offering you what is not online, and that's something that I really want to make sure that I express to you guys. I'm not giving you guys this experience. All right. So do your best. Do your best. There's over 800 people here. Do your best. Try to get this information out. You don't want to keep watching people, give you stuff that's just not relative. Charts moving, I'm showing you. You go to their channel, charts not moving, and they're showing you that. What's stopping us out, people? It's never hindsight. Hindsight is not stopping no one out. All right. I want to make sure that I say that to you. Hindsight is not stopping us out. I do wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.